All right, so we are following some breaking news right now coming out of St. Johns County. Aiden Fucci is pleading guilty to the first-degree murder of Tristyn Bailey. Today was supposed to be the first day of the trial as they were going to start jury selection. But this breaking news, this very surprising information that's just coming down is going to put a stop to this. Brianna Andrews is in the courtroom and she is tweeting out information because we are not able to necessarily communicate with her, so she's doing it this way. And she just tweeted that the judge is asking Fucci if he needs more time to go over this decision, and Fucci is declining. The judge also asked Fucci if he is satisfied with how he was represented in court. Fucci said he is satisfied with how he is being represented.
So right now, the judge, Judge Lee Smith, is confirming that Fucci has a right to a trial, and once he enters his plea, he's giving up that right to appeal it. Fucci says that he understands that decision and has had enough time to talk about it with both his parents as well as his defense team. The judge is asking Fucci if he needs more time to go over this decision, and then we have learned that Fucci declined that opportunity. The judge also asked Fucci if he's satisfied with how he was represented in court, talking about his defense attorneys. Fucci says yes, he is satisfied with how he has been represented.
All right, so this certainly has been brewing now since 2021, almost 2 years since that Mother's Day murder of Tristyn Bailey. You know, the defense was really trying to keep this trial out of St. Johns County, saying that people would know about this because of the extensive media coverage. We do want to go to Gene Nichols, a criminal attorney not affiliated with this case. Gene, you know, we just gave you the phone call that this was coming down right now. Aiden Fucci pleading guilty to first-degree murder. What are your thoughts on this decision?
Hey, Gene, can you hear us? Well, while we work to get Gene patched through, I do want to say that Brianna Andrews, who's in the courtroom, is now saying that the judge, Judge Smith, who you see right there, has accepted Aiden Fucci's guilty plea of first-degree murder for the killing of Tristyn Bailey. So accepting the plea right there, and want to see if we can listen in just a little bit, if we can turn that volume up.
For our sentencing hearing, how many days do you anticipate needing for the sentencing hearing itself?
2, Your Honor.
2 days?
Okay, on the state's behalf, I would say reserve one for us, plus whatever.
Okay. Well, we'll set aside, we'll find 2 days. You won't tell me when you both will be ready, and then we will select those 2 days. And then any hearings or any motions that we need to address on February 23rd, we can address those at that time.
All right, so the judge is going over some of the details with Fucci, who's in the center of your screen right there, surrounded by his defense attorneys right now. Obviously, you have the penalty phase coming up next. Gene Nichols, an attorney not affiliated with the case, but a legal analyst for us, is on the phone. Gene, what's your reaction to all of this?
My first reaction is I'm surprised. And the reason why I'm surprised is a guilty plea is going to end up being the same thing if he was convicted. His punishment is coming. He's going to receive the maximum punishment whether he went to trial or not. So the real question is, what else does Aiden Fucci get out of pleading guilty today? And the only possible answer to that is that it either helps other individuals, such as his mother, or anybody else who could be prosecuted for any of his actions. And it also potentially helps him maybe in his hearing 25 years from now that he accepted guilt. But otherwise, I'm somewhat surprised when he's going to end up receiving a maximum sentence, whether he goes to trial or pleads guilty, that he went ahead and did this. Hopefully the reason is because he wants to accept responsibility and not put the family through a trial.
You know, Gene, you bring up his mother, who also faced some charges for basically rubbing the blood out of his jeans the night that this happened. And again, we are looking live in the courtroom right now where you see Aiden Fucci approaching the court reporter there as he has just entered a guilty plea in the first-degree murder of Tristyn Bailey. So as you just said, a couple things could be happening. He could be trying to protect other family members who face charges and probably will be convicted of those charges and maybe face some jail time. You also have the family of Tristyn Bailey, who would have had to go through a very grueling and difficult trial with a lot of details that would be painful. You have a community who, we just saw yesterday started putting up those teal ribbons all down Longleaf Parkway and trying to definitely pay homage to her and the pain. Talking to community members, many of them said they weren't going to watch TV this week because of this trial. But Gene, we also saw and have heard that he has been rather difficult in jail. So you don't necessarily get the viewing of him as being someone that is very humble or taking responsibility for this. But, there are a number of things that are coming into play as to him making this guilty plea today. The judge did say in 2 days, 48 hours, that we will hear the sentencing on this. What are some of the things that could happen, as you just mentioned?
Well, again, I think one of the reasons why we heard Judge Smith be very specific in the plea dialogue or the plea colloquy was for exactly what you just said, that everything has been defiance up until this point. So because of that, Judge Smith wanted to make very clear that his plea was not being forced, not being coerced. It was a conscious decision that he made, and that he understood all of his rights to proceed to trial. So I'm not surprised that Judge Smith went into such detail. I have to suspect that because of what we have seen out of Aiden Fucci since the beginning of this case, that it must be in order to benefit his mother or anybody else that the state attorney's office was looking at. To go ahead and not have to put the family through a trial will go a long way with the state attorney's office when it comes to other people who potentially could be prosecuted. Exactly what you said, not to put the family through this will go a long way. It won't change his sentence, but it may go a long way in anybody else who potentially could be prosecuted.
Yeah, and Gene, obviously the evidence was stacked against him. I think that prosecutors felt very confident with their case, but the family was going to have to go through that trial and see the pain, and it was going to be put on not only for the community to see, but all around the world. Fucci just made this statement. He said, "I just want to apologize to the Bailey family." The judge said that he will be making another statement at the sentencing hearing in just a few weeks. Does this turn of events make any difference in what the future is for Aiden Fucci as we move into now speaking about what his punishment will be?
The only potential way it could make a change is we know now with juveniles who get sentenced to what is in effect a life sentence, that they do have to have a review hearing at the 25-year mark. Does him accepting responsibility and admitting his guilt without putting the family through a trial, does it benefit him at the 25-year mark? That is really the only way that his actions can help him, because we know that because of the plea that he is entering today and what he's entering a plea to, he's going to receive the same sentence he would have received if he lost a trial. So the only benefit to him can be, from a legal standpoint, does it help him at the 25-year mark when he has that hearing?
All right. Also looking, the judge said that he will be able to make another statement at the sentencing hearing in a few weeks. And again, let me correct the date of that. The judge says on February 23rd at 9 a.m., the court will select the date for that sentencing hearing. Also, Gene, just talking about the family, Tristyn Bailey's family, expecting to be in court, for weeks. It does kind of bring you to tears, because we know the pain that they publicly have had to go to. But they walked out of court in tears following this plea. Fucci, again, is in custody. February 23rd, they're going to select the date for sentencing hearing. Will that happen sooner than later, considering all these circumstances?
No, I think that the soonest, that's when that will happen. Whether or not there's mitigation that the defense needs to put on and they won't potentially be prepared at that date, it could get continued, but reasonably speaking, Judge Smith has kept this on a very strict calendar. He always keeps a very strict calendar, and I expect him to keep it on a strict calendar and for them to put on whatever mitigation that they have, including but not him limited to hearing from Aiden. We'll have the sentencing at that date, and then Judge Smith will have really no choice other than to sentence him as is required by law.
Yeah, and Gene, we talked about the potential for an appeal, and in that conversation with his attorneys, the judge said that there wasn't, the chance to appeal based on that plea right there. Is this final? Is this plea final now that Aiden Fucci, through his attorneys, entered that to the court, and the judge accepted the plea.
Reasonably speaking, yes. Now the question will become, at a later date, does he have a right to appeal this? Does he have a right to make accusations or blame his lawyer? Sure. It would not surprise me if we saw some form of motion filed at a later date where he either had ineffective assistance of counsel or something to that extent. Judge Smith can only protect the record as much as he can, which he did today. Now, that does not mean there may not be a subsequent motion, but this plea, this clear plea, is going to be very difficult for Aiden Fucci to ever come back and suggest that this was done improperly.
All right, Gene, thank you so much for getting on the phone with us. If you could just stand by for just a minute, we do want to go to Marilyn Parker, who also has been covering this story. We're going to go to her as soon as she is available. We are getting this information from Brianna Andrews, who is in the court. And again, as we talk about this, Aiden Fucci pleading guilty to first-degree murder just minutes before jury selection was supposed to start. The judge has done a couple of things. First, asking, is he sure that this is the decision that he wants to make? He said yes, he had not been coerced, and this confirms it's a straight plea to the court, the minimum sentence of 40 years to life. And Gene points out that what his statement is that you mentioned earlier, that he is apologizing for this, the first time that we have heard an apology, that could come into play in 25 years when they review this case, as again, he is a minor. Marilyn Parker apparently is ready. Let's go to her. Marilyn, the family walking out in tears. Have you been able to see anybody? I mean, this is just not what we expected this morning.
Not what we expected at all. We haven't been able to see anyone just yet. We're on one side of the courthouse and the family came in on the opposite side. We do know that State Attorney R.J. Larissa is here, so maybe we'll hear something from him. But again, this was not the way that many people expected the day to go. You had just last week with the defense attorneys doing everything they could to delay this trial. There was the argument after the state got the six-person jury. Well, the defense wanted a 12-person jury, and that was a lot of their argument throughout last week. They wanted to take it to the 5th District Court of Appeals. We expected an emergency writ to be filed sometime last week or even as early as this morning, but no, as soon as we got in the courtroom, we were expecting a load of jurors to come in. That did not happen. Instead, we were told that the defense attorneys turned their chairs around and they started to discuss with one another, and then they entered that plea of guilty. That apology, like you said, almost seeming as though it came out of nowhere. That was not the response that we were expecting to hear, especially with some of the evidence that has come out in regards to Fucci's actions ahead of all of this. When we spoke with the family prior to or early on in this situation, obviously it's been traumatic for them. And then a lot of people are saying this could be a relief for them not having to sit through this trial and hear all the evidence. We don't know how all of this was going to pan out. That was the expectation, obviously, for this week. And now in 3 weeks, on February 23rd, we're expecting a sentencing. Now, also keep in mind, Crystal Smith, Aiden Fucci's mother, we're told that trial for tampering with evidence is still on for April. We're not exactly sure how that's going to pan out after this has taken place. Aiden Fucci said he did have time to speak this over with his defense attorneys. There was a lot of discussion, obviously, ahead of this. We don't know how that changed from last week with what seemed like that last-ditch effort by his defense attorneys. But now here we are getting ready to find that jury to be seated in this trial, but that has all changed. Back to you.
Marilyn Parker, I know it's an emotional morning, really shocking for so many people, but to some degree, a sigh of relief for the family and friends of Tristyn Bailey, because I know that they were so saddened to have to go through those ugly, disturbing details once again. And this move right here, in some sort of show of compassion, saves them from having to go through that process, which would have just been a nightmare once again.
Yeah, this would have been weeks that they would have had to sit in court. And now we are nearing the end with Aiden Fucci pleading guilty to first-degree murder for Tristyn Bailey on Mother's Day of 2021. And again, they'll discuss the sentencing at the end of February on the 23rd, and then a date will be made for that sentencing to start. But he will receive 40 years behind bars for that murder. We're continuing to follow that. You saw Marilyn Parker there outside of the courthouse. We have Brianna Andrews inside the courthouse. As we get more information, we'll make sure we get it to you through News4Jax Plus, also news4jax.com. And we'll have the very latest at noon. Unless something big happens, we will break in. Thank you so much for watching this morning.